Okay. My mom suffers from mental illness. She constantly tried to commit suicide and was committed for a month once. I vividly remember coming home to find a bloody bed and a paramedic equipment in her room. When she wasn't doing that, she would spend hours in the bathroom crying or in bed moping. She also spent a lot of time watching TV. I had to panhandle for food sometimes, and I would sneak out to do drugs or drink with my friends from 11 years old and on. My dad had started another family, and I'd never felt wanted by him nor a part of his family. We would talk once in every 3 months, and I talked to my mom a handful of times a year. I recovered from alcoholism in 2009 and have been in fear that I would be just like her ever since. But I had to grow up pretty fast, and I started working at 15 and a half on a work permit and moved out when I was 17. I didn't go to college right away, but started working a high-paying job right out of high school because I had to be an adult so young. I knew how to conduct myself in a corporate environment. I adapted and had worked for the same company for 15 years. I'd made quite a bit of money. Personal relationships had suffered. I don't trust people in authority. I think they're all stupid or doing things wrong. I do what I have to in order to survive, which is what I did growing up, which includes lying or hiding things so not to upset my parents. I'm married, but currently don't want to be because I want to. Pardon me. I'm married, but currently don't want to be because I want to have a childhood, which includes doing stupid shit my wife wouldn't approve of. I have trouble picking the right friends. I tend to pick people that I mother and had in the past developed very codependent tendencies. I also get resentful at people who don't have close relationships with their families. I don't have that sometimes, and I wonder how much better off I would be if my parents paid for college or took care of me in any way. I also hate family shit, like spending time with my wife's family. It's weird. My psychologist has recently diagnosed me with ADHD, OCD, and depression and anxiety. I'm trying out, this was when he goes into like different medications that he's talking about, which we'll get into that another time. But basically, I see myself as very dumb, and probably because that's what my parents would tell me when I lived with them. In a sense, these are all the repercussions of his life after being raised by parents who didn't want him. And that's so sad. Like, yeah. So it's like, why are we forcing people or pressuring people to have kids when this is his life? Like this, I'm assuming that he's a lot older now, like a lot older.
And some things he's reflected on and noticed and realized that this affects his relationships because he wasn't given attention when he was a child and was neglected. And it was because his mum had mental illness, so she was obviously struggling within herself. But kind of going back to what Karla was saying, like if we kind of had intervention or kind of a chat with somebody who got pregnant and thought, okay, are you in the right mindset to be having a child? Then that could have prevented her from having a child that's now grown up and upset.
Yeah, it's like a lifetime of suffering. Like that's what it feels like, and that's what he's kind of portraying as well.
And he still wants to be a child. That's the thing. It's like you hold on to wanting that.
It's also funny that, well, it's not funny, but he mentioned about lying, and he's quite good at that now because that's what he used to do when he was younger. And I remember them. They have actually, there's again studies on that say that parents are harsh or restrictive or discipline their kids in certain ways or prevent them from doing certain things, they end up creating better liars that then go into the kind of the workplace because they've had to learn to do certain things to hide from their parents for things.
God, that's so true.
So it's interesting to bring that in.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's the point I was kind of saying, that I think that people should have kids if they want to have kids and they're in a suitable frame of mind emotionally. I actually think, because it's funny, because I'm privileged in this situation to say that I don't want kids. I can afford to have a child. I've got the house. I mean, if Chris and I were to go to adopt right now, we would get in and like we would be able to swim through that quite easily. Like we've both got good jobs, we've got a good house, we've got good income, everything's right for us, and that's good. I've made that choice, so I don't want to have kids. But what I don't like is that people should still have that option to have kids if they're in an emotional headspace, but maybe not financially. We should offer them support. And it sounds like, his parent was not an emotional headspace, and he didn't talk about the support. I mean, we don't know, obviously it's one side of the story, but it doesn't sound like there was much support for her in that situation.
Yeah, being depressed, being at home, finding her in her bed, like...
Yeah, I think you should have to apply to be a parent. Like, do you know what I mean? And just like anyway, like I know that sounds like really
full-time
like
job, but we
how
don't treat it like a full-time job.
like I don't know how that would work logistically, but it's like like you shouldn't just be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna create a life, and then just be like, oh, I changed my mind, I don't like this anymore, so I'm gonna treat them like shit.
It's a lifetime commitment. Like, it's not just in the moment. What are you gonna do in 5 years' time? What are you gonna do in 20 years' time? Because that child will need your help in 20 years as well. It's not like they've left the house and you're never gonna see them again. Like, think about it. You probably talk to your mum a lot.
Yeah.
So that she's a mum for the rest of her life.
What's sad though, like the society or the government would see that as a success story. The person's obviously gone on to do a good job, get married, have a family of his own. So that's not even getting picked up because from their point of view, I mean, looking at it from a very pessimistic view, and I've said before, is I think that this whole nuclear family, this whole getting people to have kids is to boost their economy. That's all they care about, and this is not a problem to them. It's a problem to, I think, I mean, the fact that he sounds very bitter, resentful, talking about his wife might stop him from doing certain things, but we don't know what relationship he's got with the wife. It could be abusive in a way of emotional abusive, not necessarily even thinking that he's even aware of it. And this is the whole issue is that this is the things that we just quite happily ignore for religion or for whatever reasons, for ethics, that people think, oh, it's just not right to abort a baby. Yet we're quite happy for someone to be born and be
have
miserable
an awful life.
and make other people miserable. And he's implying that he's doing the illegal things here. I mean, how you don't know. I mean, you don't know what job he's in. You don't know. I mean, I know these are all presumptions because I don't know the whole picture. But the point is that it's not allowing someone to be forced into having a child from all aspects of society and not supporting that person who has a child is just going to have other repercussions that will not stop at 18. They'll continue going on, and they'll probably reproduce, and the cycle can continue until someone breaks it or decides to break it.
That is the biggest perspective, I feel like, as well. It's just like, how are you okay? Like, how are you not okay with me choosing to like not have a baby because I don't want it, but you're okay with someone living an entire life of feeling unwanted? Like, what the like that? And that should like literally, I don't know, that's gonna stick with me for ages. Like, I'm sorry, but that kind of like was like boom, mind bender. But like,
on to the next one.
This one, I don't know how to